Okay, good morning, everybody. Trying to close this thing here. Boom, there. So today we're going to go through the CRM and action plans in depth. We talk about the CRM system quite frequently and on a repeated basis. It's part of the 90-day success plan. And why is it that we do that? It's really because it's the most important starting point and the basis of success in this business for an ongoing success, to control your database and to make sure you are fully in control always of the people that really are your assets of your business, as well as the heart of your business, since they are living, breathing human beings. As usual, we talk about habits, attitudes, and skills. This is right out of Brian Buffini and Peak Producers. Again, typically we're teaching skills or tools in our classes, alternating between systems training, which is what we're doing today, and business skill development, which we try to integrate even as we're talking about tools as well. Excuse me. And then we talk about attitudes. Last time we did revving up your mindset. Attitude is so important. All these things are integrated together. Having a good attitude helps you learn more skills and develop better habits. Having good skills and better habits helps your attitude improve. They all fit together. Habits is probably the toughest one, because habits really means how we go about doing our work, approaching our work, organizing our day, organizing our time. And initially, those are probably going to have to be disciplines. Whether you're a new agent getting into the business or if you're an agent who's at a plateau and looking to improve, you're going to have to develop some disciplines. And we talk a lot about that. So Buffini refers to this as has, H-A-S. We all know the opposite of has is has not or has been. So hopefully you want to be a has as you move forward with your business. Habits and skills, best practices. We talk about grabbing those big rocks first. You heard this story before of the physics teacher who demonstrates that if you have a jar and if you fill it with water and sand and pebbles, in other words, personal activities, responding to things that really don't need your attention, dealing with day-to-day kinds of things, you don't have any room to put the big rocks in. And in this sense, the big rocks are your marketing and lead generation activities. Your marketing and lead generation activities are the most crucial element of your business. That applies not just to real estate, but most businesses. Where is your business going to be coming from? And yesterday, we had a Peak Producers reunion roundtable, and Brian, we watched an 18-minute video that Brian Buffini has done recently, and he mentioned something in there that I've added at the bottom there that I really like. This comes from Stephen Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Don't prioritize your schedule, schedule your priorities. Think about that. If you just look at your schedule and say, oh gosh, I've got to do this, 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 and this, and this, and this, what should I do first? That's not the best way to do it. There's some days when maybe you have to do that, but the key is to schedule your priorities first and then work the other things in. Because if you don't focus on your priorities, and again, your priorities really need to be your marketing and lead generation every day. If you don't schedule those first, you'll never get to them, because you can't get those big rocks in the jar when it's full of sand and other kinds of things. So come on in. Hi, I want to make sure that everybody can hear us here. So close this down and take a look and make sure we don't have any comments. Nope, everybody can hear us. That's fine. So I will go back into the presentation there. So we're going to get into talking a little bit about the CRM system and the most important element for any realtor, if you're newer in this business or if you're at a plateau looking to improve. And I know Kent talks about this a lot in the 90-day plan as well, and that is to make sure that you've got a good CRM, customer relationship management system, and that you're making use of it on a regular basis. This is the beginning point of Buffini Peak Producers training, of our competitors training. Looks like we're getting some echo and feedback here. Let me mute. Everybody, could you please mute yourself here? Audio. Mute. 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 There we go. So hopefully we've got everybody muted now. Sorry about that. So again, the key is to have a good customer relationship management because the names on that list are your assets in your business. So what we encourage, thinking about those habits that Brian Buffini discusses and urges us to use, start your day every day at the lead resource dashboard. And we'll go live and I'll walk through this with you in a little bit as well. But this is at the BHHS resource system. If you've looked at this before, but you're not using it regularly, I can't encourage you more than to get in there and work on this on a regular basis. Your contacts, as I said, in your CRM, your list of contacts are your primary assets in your business. So treat them like gold. Also treat them like the heart of your business because they are living, breathing people, and the goal is to develop good, solid, long-term relationships with you. So as we build our business, you'll use this system to track all the details of your contacts. Have you ever had a phone call from somebody? If you've been in the business a while, you helped them buy a house 2 or 3 years ago, they call up and say, "Hey, this is Wally. How you doing, Dave?" And you go, "Wally, Wally Jones, oh gosh, what house did they buy?" If you got your iPad or your iPhone or it's your laptop, you can quickly open up your contact details and look up Wally. And if you've done the correct job of putting into Wally's contact the house they bought, how many dogs they have, all that stuff, you can immediately pull that up, even if you don't remember it all, and say, "Oh, that's great. How are you and Sally Joe and the 3 bulldogs doing at 123 Main Street? Oh, that was such a fun deal." It's helpful to help us remember things. We can't remember all the details. So we'll get into that in a little bit and go live on that. Again, elements that you can do at the BHHS Resource Center, at this lead resource area, includes a daily calendar. Now, this does not integrate with your iPhone calendar or anything like that, or your Outlook calendar. And I think that's kind of a good thing because what I encourage people to do is to put your marketing and lead generation activities on this calendar and leave your Outlook calendar for appointments, personal things you need to do, that type of thing. So put all your marketing activities on this one. You can see right there that I have every morning, and I get an email every day and a text actually saying it's time for lead generation at 8:30 every morning. Nice little reminder. Other things you can do in the CRM, the lead resource CRM, is to create a task list for yourself to all the things you need to do. And again, I encourage you to put your tasks in here with regard to your marketing and lead generation. Task might be to call client XYZ to set coffee. You might add that in this task list, and this will pop up, and you can set this to send you a text or an email as well. So you can then get into your marketing activities, and we're going to talk in a little bit more. We'll go live and talk about the action plans and how important they are. This is the Action Plan Manager, where you can look at a summary of all the different action plans that you have. And again, we're going to go and look at these in detail in a minute. And then the other thing you can do, which I just love, is while you're in this system, you can send out a quick email. You'll want to make sure that your signature matches exactly your signature on your email system that you use, whether it's Outlook or Gmail or whatever. You want to make sure it looks exactly the same font, same size, same everything, so that nobody, when they see one email from you and then they get another one from this system, they don't go, "Huh, I wonder what this is coming from. This doesn't look like his other signature." So make sure your signature is the same. Why would it make sense to use this email system instead of just getting into your email system and writing an email from there? Well, I look at using this as a great a Zappos avoidance tool, because you know what? You get out of this system where you're working on your leads and marketing and this kind of thing, and you decide, I need to send somebody an email to follow up on something. If you get out of this and get into your regular email, you're going to see the email that comes in every other day from Zappos or from Performance Bikes or whatever it might be, and your attention is going to be diluted. So you can send an email right from this system. Here's the key and the best part of this. When you send an email to somebody from this system and they respond to it, it goes to your email. It doesn't come into here. You don't have to go into here to find it. So it comes right back to your email. So if you finish up with this, you're on your way to an appointment, you look at your phone to see what emails you got, and they've responded. It's right there in your email. So use this as a great Zappos avoidance tool. Another element that you can do in here is what's called the contract manager. In our coaching, we talk so much about having plans, having written goals, and then the final element of that is to track things. You can have a great plan and great goals and written targets, but if you don't track what you're doing, you're not really going to know where you need to make a course correction, where you've had greater success. So tracking things in detail is gigantic. Within this lead resource system is a contract manager where you can put in either in the contact for each person when you've sold them a house, you can enter it right in there, or you can come down to this and enter the house and tie it to their contact. So you can track what your total sales have been, your average sale price, your total commission, and your average commission. These are obviously fantasy numbers for a market in Hawaii or something, perhaps. But the good news is this is a very simple way to tie this together so that, again, when Wally calls you, it says, oh, it's been 5 years since we bought our house. You go, what house? You can pull this right up and you can look right there and say, oh, yes, that little condo, that's great. Oh, and you're thinking about moving. So a great way to pull everything together. So why is all this important? This is all important in action plans, which I want to get into in a minute. Why use action plans and how do they fit in? So I'm going to talk a little bit about business skill development and building your business. And one of the things that peak producers talk so much about is the flow of relationships. This business is a relationship business. It's a long-term business. And I'll give you an example of what that means in a minute. And the key is to have a flow of relationships, to start out with those C relationships. And remember, Buffini encourages us to grade the strength of our relationships of everybody in our database. A plus to C. A plus are people that have given us multiple referrals. Wow, for those of us who have been in the business for a while, that's wonderful. We love those people, and that's the goal to get to that. A are people who've maybe given us one referral or have been recent clients, and we know that they're ready to give us referrals, and we've done a right job of giving them guidance in how to do that and why it's important and how much we appreciate it. B's are people that maybe you're currently working with or good solid prospects that might be buying or selling in the near future. And C's are those people that you just met, either at open house or the coffee shop or whatever it might be. Those are the ones who've been kind enough to give you their email address and contact information and allow you to add them to your items of value distribution list. And also, don't delete those people who move out of town. I tell the story of how last fall I had a very sizable check from some friends of ours that we had lived nearby and were good friends with in Washington, D.C., have not lived with them near them for 20 years. We've kept in touch only sporadically, but I'd kept in touch at the right time with them, and they sold a house in Pasadena, California that they'd bought for their daughter. Here in this market, it might sell for $200,000, but there it sold for $1.1 million, and I got a very nice referral check from that one. So don't delete those people who just move out of town. They can be of value too. The attachment there, and I will send this around. This is our memory jogger. For those of you who are newer in the business or want to add to your database, there's 143 little items on that memory jogger. They're designed to jog your memory of who you know. You probably know a lot more people than are in your contact list. And so for our business purposes, your goal, and for relationship purposes, your goal is to add to this list every week, to add names, whether it's 5 or 10 or whatever, every week. As new agents, that is job one for you. If you're doing that, you're being successful. So every step along the way. So again, thinking about the flow of relationships, the key is to take people from that open house or the coffee shop or whatever where you meet them. And let's say it's a first-time buyer who says, we're thinking about maybe buying in the next year or two. We've got some credit problems. Oftentimes, more experienced agents may say, oh, okay, well, good luck to you. Those of you who are newer or wanting to grow your business, wow, those are diamonds. Those are gold. They're not immediate cash flow, but thinking long term, you nurture that search for them. You add action plans, which I'm going to get into and show you how those are so helpful. You have face-to-face meetings, those FTFs, and let's say they do buy in a year. Woohoo, you finally get paid. Let's say it's just a little condo or something like that. You don't make a whole lot of money, but during that time, that year or 2 years, while you're nurturing that relationship, they may refer you to friends. before they ever buy a house if you do this correctly. And if you then think about it, I think the average turnover time for homes in America is still around 7 years, every 7 years on average. So over the next 21 years, they'll buy another 3 times. Think about that. And usually people buy more expensive homes. And for those of you who are newer in the business, unless you're my age, hopefully you're planning to be in the business for 20 years or so. And let's say they refer you just once every other year. And those new clients repeat the pattern. Put some numbers to that on your own and think what's the return on investment of developing that person and developing that relationship, that person you meet at Starbucks or the open house who says, yeah, we'd love to buy a house sometime, but we got credit problems, or I need to pay off my debt, student debt, and that's going to take 3 years. Wow, if you think about it as 20 years return, that makes a lot of difference, doesn't it? And it's well worth your time. Again, experienced agents who are very, very busy and don't need to add clients, I can see them wanting to just, not have a whole lot of interest in that. So anyway, so how do you do that? How do you add these people to your list? Well, one of the ways to go about doing that is right from the Buffini Mayor Campaign, what we call the Mayor Campaign Dialogue. And I'll send this around to you. And again, this doesn't apply so much in an open house where you're talking to people about the house and what they're looking for and are you working with somebody, although this can work for that. This is a specific thing called the Mayor Campaign, and it applies when you meet somebody for the first time or somebody you've met before but really haven't had a chance to get to know them very well, and you're establishing some rapport with them. And then usually in that circumstance, one or the other of you will say, so what is it you do? Okay, there you go. I'm in real estate. Now, please, I'm going to give you a tip. Please do not say, I sell houses, because the word sell for most people is like, ooh, off-putting. I don't want to be sold anything. So be careful, how there may be a time to say that, but the best way to talk about what you do is what Brian Buffini says. I help people buy and sell homes. I help people buy and sell homes. That says I provide a service. So think about it that way. So anyway, as you get into that discussion, Buffini has come up with this Mayor Campaign where at some point in time you say something like, oh, by the way, or I prefer to say, hey, can I ask you a question? Or would you do me a favor? Let me ask you a question. I'm in this business. If you were buying or selling a home, or had a friend or family member who was buying or selling a home, do you have an agent that you'd refer them to or recommend to them? Wow, fairly innocent question. You've already just said, I'm in the real estate business. I help people buy and sell homes. Hey, by the way, I'm just curious. If you were buying a home or had a friend or family member who was, do you have a professional? I like to sometimes say professional as opposed to agent, a real estate professional that you'd refer them to. The point is, use your own language and the relationship and rapport that you're working with the people. So the answer is either going to be yes or no for that. If the answer is yes, then you can say something, that's great. It's really important that you use a qualified professional, since remember, this is, for most people, the biggest individual personal financial transaction people deal with in their entire lives. Now, if somebody said yes, just to sort of avoid the possibility of you asking them further questions, that might have them say, you're right, that is a big financial. Well, actually, no, I don't actually have somebody. So that's a good secondary question. If they say no, and I'm sorry, I cut off when I made the copy of that sheet. When you say no, or when they say no, the answer to that isn't, well, I'd love to sell your home. It isn't, well, I'd like to help you buy your home. The answer to that is, I would love the opportunity to earn the right to help you with your real estate needs. I would love to earn the right to have the opportunity to, or I'd love to have the opportunity to earn the right. And they say, well, sure. Yeah, what does that mean? Let me add you to my list. I send her out helpful information, items of value, information. You own a house now, don't you? Blah, blah, blah. I'd be glad to keep you posted on what's going on in your neighborhood, all that kind of thing. And it's a very, very solid and successful way to do that. Parenthetically, I've noted there Gino Blafari still uses this. I've told this story before. Not too long ago, Gino is the CEO of Home Services Franchising, the parent company of Prudential, Real Living, and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Gino called me at 6:30 on a Saturday morning. He called me on a different matter, but he called me and he told me he had just arrived at Starbucks after his Saturday morning workout that he does at 5 a.m., and that he was going to be doing his mayor campaign, because he's a big proponent of the peak producers. He was going to be doing his mayor campaign at the Starbucks for the next hour or so. And I said, but you don't sell real estate anymore. He said, no, but the average sale price in my market's about $1 million. 25% of a 6% commission on $1 million house. That's play money for me. So he gets these referrals, and then he gives them out to other agents, and then he gets a 25% referral check on $1 million, transaction. So, Gino's still doing this. Give it some attention and practice, and give it a try. So that leads me back into the action plan manager and how action plans fit into all of this activity. I talk a lot about the general wisdom in this business is you need to have 30 touches a year with anybody to make sure that they remember you and know that you're in real estate. One of the worst things a person can say to you when you're in this business is you run into them, you haven't seen them for a while, and they say to you, so are you still in real estate, Dave? Oh, no. So the good news is they've brought up the topic of real estate. The bad news is you've not done as good a job as you have to make sure that they remember that all the time. So the key, 30 touches, and we talk about the communication triangle that Michael Mayer talks about in his wonderful book, The 7 Levels of Communication, starting with at the bottom, the least effective, being broad advertising, all the way up through emails, phone calls, group meetings, and then one-on-ones. The keys are one-on-ones and phone calls, and that's part of our plan of keeping in touch. Action plans can fit right into that, and they're available right at the Lead Resource Center under the Marketing tab. And action plans are great things. It's a series of anywhere from a couple to 8 or even 12 emails, not e-cards, so it's something different. They're emails that actually come right from your email. And if they respond to it, remember in this system, it's great because if they respond to one of these emails, it comes to your email, not into this system. It comes to your email. So you see when they've looked at it and when they responded and this kind of thing. These action plans cover everything from new buyers, new sellers, past clients, and things like that. And the key with all of these things is you can set these up and you can create new ones that will allow you to fill in those gaps and add anywhere from 2 to 4 to 8 to 12 touches a year using these very specific tailored activities and action plans. So I'm going to go live in a second, but overall, just to finish the presentation, the skill of integrating these tools, the BHHS Lead Resource CRM and action plans, along with the habit of big rocks first. Remember, schedule your priorities. Don't prioritize your schedule. A different way to look at it. And prioritizing your day at the BHHS dashboard will help you have an attitude of greater confidence in knowing you're controlling your day, getting things done, and building your business. Remember, Peak Producers talks about the fact that 1 hour spent on those big rocks, that marketing and lead generation, in terms of building your business and having you have success in your business and making money, 1 hour of doing that is worth 5 hours of doing deal activity, transaction activity, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, it's worth infinity number of hours of playing Angry Birds on your iPhone or looking at Facebook, if you're not looking at Facebook for the purposes of business. So I'm going to go live now to the Resource Center here. I will sign in and I'll walk you through a few things. As with everything that we talk about, the key for this, for all of everybody, is to practice, practice, practice. The best violinist, the best golfer, they don't practice when it's time for the performance, when it's time for the first tee for the Masters tournament. Brian Buffini, in the little video we saw yesterday, talked about how oftentimes we realtors tend to rehearse or practice our listing presentation in the car on the way home after one didn't go well. And we're sitting there driving back and going, dang it, I should have said this, and I could have said this. Why didn't I say that? That's not the time to be rehearsing how you respond to various things. So that kind of rehearsal and practice, role playing and dialogues, uh, whether you're doing that with another person or just sitting and talking out loud as you read through one of these dialogues that we have for you folks, even just reading it out loud to yourself, doing both parts, and having it integrated into your own language and thing is such a key to all this stuff. So this is the BHHS Resource Center. Hopefully everybody's seen this, and you'll go right to the center. Here is the resource links, the main things you want to go into. And again, what we encourage is to go right to this one, the lead resource, which is the CRM. I wish they put lead resource CRM on there so people, if you don't go in there often, that you remember that is the CRM system. And then this is what we really call the dashboard for the system. This is what we encourage you to start out every day, because it's got, number one, over here, it's got quick links that we've put together to all kinds of things. You need to get into DocuSign, get into Office 365 to your email, get into Toolkit CMA to do a listing presentation. You can get into MyBore, the IR MLS, and other things right there for you. We're going to be adding more things to that as well. You can also get into things, and again, I'm not terribly active in the business these days, so I don't have a lot of things, but if you had leads coming in, they would show up right there for you. If you have active clients, I've got this one here, client who hasn't really done much lately, but it will show you what they've done when you set up a search for them within this system. So you can see right there, you don't have to go to your MLS system and log in and see what they've done. It will show up right here when you set up a search that's integrated to your MLS system through this system. It'll show any other activity that you've got, any appointments you've got, any tasks that you've got set up there. You can add a new activity there if you want to. So a great place to control your business. Any new leads will show down there, and it will show your calendar with anything you've got on there, and you can click on that and it'll take you right to it. It'll show where your leads have come from. So lots of great activity things that you can find right here. And you can get into Seller Advantage, which is a wonderful tool. We've had separate training classes on that as well. That's a great one of those touches that you can have with your past clients. Actually, I said past client, shame on me. They're inactive clients, not past client. Past implies that they no longer exist. They still exist for us. So as you get into the dashboard here, you'll want to go into the contact side to manage your leads and to manage your contacts. Now, if you're a newer agent and you have not had all of your contacts uploaded yet into the lead resource CRM here, get with Michael, get with your manager, get with your admin, call me, talk to Kent. We can find ways to help you do that. It can be done by, if you've got contacts on your iPhone or another email system, all you have to do is download a CSV file, which is a type of Excel file, and then upload it into this. You'll need to make sure you have certain columns and certain titles on columns, and the first time you do it, it'll probably say it didn't work because you said first as opposed to first name. So you'll just need to go in and fix that, and then it'll work. But get some help in doing that. A lot of times I run into agents in coaching or onboarding sessions where they say, well, let me go through my contacts and clean them up first, and then we'll put them into here. My suggestion to that is, that's great. Do clean up your contacts and add to them mainly, and there may be some you want to delete, but let's put them all into this system so that you can practice using this system right away and get used to using this system and integrate this system into your daily routine while you do that cleanup. Because you know what happens? That's kind of a big rock. And so getting your contacts cleaned up in Gmail or whatever it is you use usually falls to the bottom of the day unless you put that big rock in first. So if you don't have your contacts uploaded into this, that's job one for you. Reach out to me, to Kent, to Michael, to your manager or whatever, and ask for help on how to do that, and then use this tool to be modifying things. So your contacts will show up on here, and typically what they'll do, they'll show up, as you see here, there's a score, and I'll get into that in a minute, and that will break them down either as a new lead or as a client or a contact, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means. And I see that I've added Greg Cooper here as a lead to demonstrate something. So when you get into the details, and I'm going to now click on this one contact that I have here, I'm going to bring up the individual contact report. And this is where you can do all that stuff that I talked about so that when Wally calls you, you're not embarrassed to not remember what house they bought or what the dog's name was or how many kids they had. That it will show, first of all their details, obviously, whether they're a buyer or a seller and what they are, and then what contact groups they're in here. I know that's pretty small on the screen there, but you have a number of different contact groups that you can add people to, and then you can do things with these groups. Whether you can send action plans to a group, you can set up an activity to do with a certain group, and you can tie people into that. And you'll see here I've got this lead as an A plus, a buyer, and not really a lead. That I should change that out of it. But then you've got all the details down there, any notes, and you can add notes down here. So this is where when Wally has just called you and you hang up the phone and Wally said he's interested in getting involved in buying a house maybe next year, you can type that note in and to say, Wally called May 25 to talk about buying a new house, et cetera, et cetera. He just got a promotion with Lily. So congratulations to Wally. So you add all of that in there. You got your action plans right there, so you can see what action plans you have set up for Wally or any of your clients right there. So you can go in there to see a summary. And again, if they call you or you call them while you're in at your desk or even with your iPad sitting in Starbucks, you can have this stuff right at hand and make use of it. The score, I'll show you that there's other details you can get into with them. There's personal information. You could put in lots of details when they like to be contacted, what properties they've saved, all kinds of details like that. What kind of things you've done for them in terms of marketing. If you've got them set up on Seller Advantage or other activities or marketing plans or action plans, you can go in there and see that. And then what properties they've looked at or saved if you've got them set up on a search through this system, which is a key to having that score come up so you can see what happens. Now, why is the score important? This guy's got a score of 3 with a red background. That means he's not been very active. And let's say you've met somebody at an open house 6 months ago. They said they're thinking about buying if they get a promotion or a new job over the next 6 months or so. And all of a sudden on Monday morning you come in and you look at that contact and all of a sudden they're at the top of the list and they have a green 57. That says, oh boy, they've been really active looking at houses, saving searches, expanding searches within my system here. And that means I'm going to do what? I'm going to pick up the phone and call him. Hey, Wally, I saw you've been looking at, you saved 123 Main Street. Do you want to go see that today? So a really great tool to help you not miss opportunities, because if you don't know that that person has gotten active and they went to an open house the other day and they met another realtor and you're not following up and that other realtor is calling them and following up better than you are, bye-bye, Wally. So great stuff to use here. Again, we talk about groups. You can go in and organize all the people in here into lots of groups. There's a bunch of built-in groups that you can go into, that cover every aspect of real estate and this kind of thing. So you can take a look and learn what those are. And then you can add a group right up there. And we recommend when you get this set up, or if you've got it set up and haven't done this, go in and add 4 more groups: A plus, A, B, and C. I already talked about that. That is a key to making the best use of these assets, which these names are, and the human beings and the heart of your business that these people are, and that is your relationships with them. And you are ranking them by the strength of your relationship with them in terms of your business relationship with them. Your best friend may never be given you a referral and may use a competitor for their real estate. So maybe they shouldn't remain your best friend. Just kidding. But it's the strength of your relationship in terms of the profession and how likely they are to give you a referral. That's what you're looking to do in terms of ranking these people, those relationships. So that's the contacts and the contact groups. Let's move on down and take a look at the action plans and how they fit in with things. Action plans are down under marketing because that's what they are. They're marketing tools for you. And again, when we use the word marketing, remember that means the CEO hat, the big rocks territory. 1 hour of that is worth 5 hours of showing houses and negotiating inspections and things like that. Don't mean to imply for a second that showing houses and negotiating inspections are unimportant. They're crucial to helping you develop those A and A plus relationships. and you'll spend much more time doing them. It's a question of what your priority every day and every week needs to be. So let's go to the Action Plan Manager, and the Action Plan Manager will bring up a summary of all the action plans that are available in the system. Sorry, this screen is, oh, there, I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So the Action Plan Manager, there's a total of about 20 action plans. It says 23 there, but that's because I've created some copies, and there's some in there, and you can create one yourself. But as you look down through, there's this got, whether it's a system plan, a company plan, and I really don't know the difference between a system plan and a company plan, and then a user plan. And your goal will be to get to know these things, figure out which ones you might like, and then start to make use of them. The ones that I really like are the homeowner newsletter. If you don't have a monthly newsletter going out, this is one where you can go out and they provide information for you that you can set up and send out on a monthly basis to all of the people in your database. That's a great one of those 30 touches. You got 12 right there with this newsletter. So, and the ones that I really like, though, are Buyer Prospect Campaign, the 8 Worst Mistakes, and then the opposite side of that first-time home buyer campaign is 7 Steps to Home Buying Success. I really prefer to not call these first-time, but just call them buyer or 7 Steps to Home Buying Success, because people, even if they've bought a home and this is their second or third home, if it's on average 7 years since the last time they did it, things have changed. This is not their job. They don't do it every day. No matter how smart they are, they don't know everything there is to know about buying or selling a home. So this is helpful. This is not just for first-time home buyers. You can have a new, well, that's the one that I just talked about. There's a home anniversary one that you can send out. There are new customers. There's selling tips and things like that. So there's all kinds of these, and they continue to add to them on a regular basis. So let's take a look at one that I like, the 8 Worst Mistakes for Home Buying. And this is one that's a company campaign. So the first thing that you can do is you can come over here and you can see, okay, there's 7 or 8 in this one, 8 activities. You can see the total number of things that are involved. So that's kind of cool. With one 10-minute session setting this up, I can have 7 contacts or 12, 21 contacts or whatever it might be. I don't have anybody in this one right now. You can then look at a preview. So if you click on the little screen there, it'll bring up so you can see what these include. And you can walk quickly through the different emails that are there and get a look at what's included. You can go, I like that. That's great. Now, the key to it is you can customize these and change them to fit the specific circumstances. So what you do then, this is, again, a company plan. You simply hit the copy button, and it'll bring up and allow you to make a copy of it. And boom. So now I've got a, whoops, and I think I hit the wrong thing there. I'm going to do that again. So yeah, there it is. There it is. There's the copy. That's the one that I just made. So I'm going to view the campaign there. And I'm going to change the name of this, because when you make a copy of it, what you're going to probably do when you send it out or whatever, you're going to enable it Wally BHS. You're going to name it for the client you're using it for, because you have to do this separately for each individual client that you're going to do it for. So I'm going to walk through this and then we'll save it. So again, we'll walk down and through each one of those individual activities. And so this is the beautiful part of these. You can go in and you've entered your contact. You just met these people at an open house, or you did the mayor campaign at Starbucks and you met somebody and they gave you their contact info. You've entered them in as a contact. The beautiful thing here is that once you've entered them as a contact, it will automatically use these widgets to do your signature, et cetera, et cetera. So it makes lots of time-saving things for you. So what do you do to customize things? You can change any of the wording in here you want, but what I recommend is, great to meet you at Starbucks, whatever. Yeah, you can customize it to have them make sure that they remember you, because you may not be the only realtor they met at Starbucks that day or at the open house on Sunday. So you can customize it to make it very, very specific. You can change anything. So you can walk down through all of these and save them to be whatever you want them to do. Here's the cool part. Again, remember, these are emails from you, and if they respond to it, it comes to your email, not into this system. You can set up the number of days that you want this to take effect. So it's Monday, the day after the open house. You're putting this together. You want to send the first one out to them today. So you put 0 days, meaning right today. As soon as I do this, I want to send it out. And then they've said, we were thinking about buying maybe next year. Okay, next year. I got 8 different items. So maybe I send them something maybe every 40 days, every 40 days, not monthly, but I want to space it out so that I'm having regular contact with them, maybe 45 days or whatever it might be. So you can set the time frames there. Here's the really cool part of it. You can add a task. Again, this is making the best use of your time, helping you remember to do things and doing things automatically for you. So you can add a task, and it can either be a call or a to-do. So I'm going to put a call in here, and I'm going to touch base with them, and I'm going to call this a high priority. And I would type in, follow up to make sure they're getting my emails. And I'll save that. Okay, so that activity comes in down there, the last thing, because you just added it. And so the beautiful thing here, you can come over here to this little widget where you can reorder things there, and you bring that up. I think I'm going to send that, I'm going to call them after I've sent them 2 emails. So that's, basically 45 days from now, I'm going to give them a call. I'm going to do that 3 days after I've sent out the last email to them, the second email to them. And I'm going to call to make sure they're getting them and take their temperature. Are they excited? Are they interested? Are they finding them helpful? Then I'm going to add another one here, a to-do, and I'm going to set coffee with them. And that's also going to be a high priority. And make a note there. Because remember, one of the most important things that we can do in working with buyers is what Buffini calls CITO, C-I-T-O, come into the office. You've chatted with them, you're sending some information, they're not ready to start looking yet, you're still building a relationship, but after several of these, after maybe 3 months, they're responding to what you're doing. It's time to see if you can set a coffee or have them CITO come into the office. And meeting at Starbucks or Hubbard's and Craven's or a restaurant for a lunch counts as coming to the office. And what you're doing, the purpose of that meeting is to dig into a bit more detail about what their goals are, what they're looking for in a home, tie down their timing, and then working backwards from when would you like to be in a home? And again, this if they're looking 2 years, this may not be applicable, but if they want to be at home in a year, you then work backwards. Okay, guys, it's usually 45 days from contract to closing. It might be 2 weeks for possession, so that's 2 months. So if you want to be in next May, that means you need to have a house under contract, blah, blah, and you work backwards. And most of the time, you will surprise people when you say, so that means we really should seriously be starting to look in 1 month. Or 2 months or whatever. Most people don't look at it that way. So that's the purpose of having that coffee. So you can set this up. You then can save the changes you've made, save the time frame you've done. And the beautiful thing of this is that once you've saved this and put it into effect, it's going to be sending out these 8 emails to them without you having to do a thing. Now, it will also show up on your action plans and show you, show you when things are being sent out so you can see what's being done and be prepared if somebody calls you that hey, I just saw that I sent out an action plan to them yesterday and they're calling me up. That's great. So all of these things go into the skills and tools of developing those relationships, maintaining those relationships, and doing so automatically so that you're touching that big rock without having to take a shovel and a wheelbarrow to lift up that huge big rock. It makes it easier to do. So that's the plan on action plans and the CRM system can't encourage you more to get into this and do this on a regular basis. Learn that lead resource system. The more you learn it and the more you work in it, the more comfortable you will become with it, the easier it will be to work on it. Play with the action plans. You cannot break these things. You cannot break these things. So set up an action plan for your spouse, for a good friend, a buddy, or whatever that's that's not going to be buying a house or maybe buying a house. What a great way to tell them you're doing something on a test for them. So big rocks. Think about this stuff. Remember the habits of doing that first, learning the skills of integrating this system in using action plans. You're going to be controlling your day. You're getting things done and building your business. So let's see if we have any questions or anything. So hopefully everybody could hear me out there. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording and we'll look forward to talking next week. Take care.